Hey, kia ora! Helen Brahms here, coming to you live from Surprise in Arizona. Hope you're having a super fantastic, sparkling day. Welcome to Before the Dirt Nut podcast number 1769. Sorry, wrong number, from 1948. That's one we got to watch yesterday. And I said yesterday that I had a feeling I had seen it before based on the description of the movie. I started watching this movie and I ain't seen this one before. It was a movie I had never seen before. It was not the one I thought it was. I've still got to find the one that I thought it was, because the one I thought it was is with a blind woman who has intruders in her apartment. So I've got to go find that one because it's been bugging me ever since I saw it, because I'd love to see it again. But this one here was Sorry Wrong Number, with Barbara Stanwyck and Burt Lancaster. They played husband and wife. Her character came from a very rich, well-to-do family in Detroit. Yeah, Detroit. I think it was Detroit. That seems to ring a bell. And he wasn't so well off. And he ended up marrying this woman. And despite the fact that he was actually dating somebody else, she comes in and decides she likes him, and that's that. But we find out the story along the way. When we start the movie, she's a woman who is in bed, and disabled. She's in bed, and she has the telephone next to her, and she would call the operator, and she's trying to call her husband's office and getting no answer. And they showed his office with the phone off the receiver, or the receiver off the phone, which is why she wasn't getting through, and there's nobody in the office. And so then she calls the operator and asks if the operator can break in, because she's trying to, connect with her husband. He was supposed to be home at 6 o'clock. He hadn't shown up. It's been hours. Where is he? She can't get hold of him. His line's constantly busy. And so the operator goes to put her through, and she gets a busy signal. And then as she's about to hang up, she suddenly cuts in on this other conversation. And while she's listening to this other conversation, she realizes that she's listening to a murder. They're planning somebody's murder. And you can hear this whole thing. This is how bad the sound was I actually had it on DVD. I had the volume on full on my TV last night. And I could hear her fine, and I could just hear the phone conversations that were going on the phone. But it was actually kind of interesting, because she's like talking to them going, "Excuse me, who is this?" And there's no response. So she can hear them, but they can't hear her. And so then that starts a whole thing of, now she's in this bed, she's trying to find out, and she can't get out and go anywhere. She's trying to figure out who they're trying to murder. So she's calling the operator back and explaining the situation to them. And then she gets on with the supervisor and explains the situation to her. And so then she tries calling the police and explaining the situation to them. And it just starts this whole snowball effect. And there's all these little twists and turns along the way. And if you've never seen the movie before, highly recommend it. It was really good. And it was a lot of twists and turns along the way. And you learned a lot about their story along the way as well, because you would meet these different characters. Like, she would have these phone conversations with these different characters, and you would learn their story. And then there's scenes where she's not in it at all, but it's Burt Lancaster's character as her husband, and they end up moving. Where do they end up moving to? I think it's New York. They end up moving to. But she insists on staying at her father's house and living there and all of that. And he keeps trying to find somewhere else that he could go work, because he basically goes to his father-in-law's work and just sits there and does nothing all day and gets paid for it. And so he wants to, strike out on his own, and he gets shut down by the father-in-law, finds out, and shuts him down. It shuts down him getting jobs anywhere else. They want to go apartment hunting, and of course it's on her dime, because he's not really earning anything that can support them. And it's just this whole thing of he just wants to break free from the constraints that are around him as he's married to this woman. And so he finally moves into another town, and then she's an invalid. She can get out of bed and walk a certain distance. You do see her do that, and she's very stiff in her and stumbling in her walking and things. Barbara Stanwyck was awesome. She was really, really cool. And she was one of these, I am here, I am this person, you're going to do what I tell you type of person that felt very entitled. If you want to see an entitled woman, this was very good. She felt that she was entitled because of who she was, and she could have any man that she wanted. And the nurse had been given the night off. The husband wasn't home when he was supposed to be home, and So she's in this house all by herself, and then then there's someone else, somebody's knocking at her door. So she manages to get out of bed and get out into the hallway, and you look down the stairs, and she's like on the 3rd floor of this building, of this house, and you just see the stairs just going all the way down, and she's like yelling down, can you hear me? I'm up here by myself. And all the things that you get told not to do today, she does, like on the phone. She's, well, I'm in this house here by myself and I need this help and blah, 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 blah. So it was I thoroughly enjoyed that movie. Very, very much so. I thought both characters Burt Lancaster and Barbara Stanwyck played great roles in it. The other actors that they had in there were awesome as well in their parts. But it was interesting listening to their story as it unfolded, and you got to hear some of the story you got to hear as she's having phone conversations with different people, including his ex-girlfriend, the one that she stole him away from. I think it actually might have been ex-fiance, but it's the person that she stole him away from. She ends up having a conversation with her. Then she ends up having a conversation with her husband. You see her husband having a conversation with other people. But most of the conversations take place on the phone. So it's kind of interesting how much the phone plays a role in this. But thoroughly enjoyed the movie. So if you haven't seen it before, recommend it. It's got a few twists and turns in there. And yeah, I'm not gonna tell you the ending. Even though the movie was 1948, it's, there's still people that haven't seen that movie. It's in black and white. So yeah, it was a really, really cool movie. So if you get a chance to watch it, watch it. It's a really cool movie. And tonight we move on to one of my favorite classic movies. I try to remember the last time. I don't think I've seen it since before Brad died. Oh no, have I seen it? Maybe once since he died. But it's been a few years. I'm trying to remember if I watched it when I was in the RV. Might have been before I got the RV. So it's been at least 5 years since I've seen it then, if it was before the RV. Because I don't recall watching this in the RV. And it's An Affair to Remember that came out in 1957 with Cary Grant and Deborah Kerr. I love this movie so much. It is, it's a chick flick. It's a beautiful story told. There's some humorous moments in there. There's some fun moments. You've got these two people, Cary Grant, Deborah Kerr. They're both engaged to somebody else when they get on this cruise ship. They happen to meet each other on the cruise ship. Their fiancés are not traveling with them. They happen to meet each other while on this cruise ship, but they're trying to stay proper, and they're not connecting up. They're just friends. And of course, the rumors start around the cruise ship that they're a little more than friends. But they end up falling in love on the cruise ship, and then they arrange. Then, of course, they've got to go their separate ways when they leave the cruise ship because they're both engaged to other people. And so they agree to meet on top of the Empire State Building in 6 months. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful story. You get to see some amazing places. They stop in Greece at one point to visit his grandmother or his aunt. His grandmother, I think she is. Yeah, grandmother. So she actually gets to meet his grandmother when they stop in Greece. And trying to think, I think they're on one of the islands in Greece. But it's just it's quite humorous how they try to find ways to talk to each other while trying to not look like they're having a conversation together to fuel the rumors that are on the cruise ship. It's quite humorous. And people will notice the fact that they're two single peoples and they're not sitting together, and they'll start talking about them. Or in one scene, they're in two booths, but they've got their backs to each other. So he's in this booth facing this way, she's in this booth facing this way, and they've got their backs to each other, and they're having a conversation. And everybody in the dining room can see them having a conversation with each other. And so that starts off a whole flurry of things. But they're trying to keep things proper and try to look like they're not. It's just a very fun. It's a good chick flick. And if you're somebody who cries easily, this is a beautiful story for that. It's one of my cry movies. So I have my tissues ready. But it's absolutely one of my favorite movies, and I can't tell you how many times I have seen it, but I absolutely love and adore this movie. And so I'm excited to see it again. It's been a while since I've seen it. So That's tonight's movie is An Affair to Remember. If you have seen Sorry, Wrong Number, please let us know in the comments below and your thoughts on the movie. What's your favorite scene in the movie? If you have seen An Affair to Remember, please put in the comments what your favorite parts are in the movie, what you think of the movie. And then, let's see, I've only got it scheduled through till tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be the longest day because it is June 6th, the 80th anniversary of the landings of the invasion at Normandy. So that's the longest day is a movie about the landings at Normandy, and it does have the Hollywood touch to it, but it gives you a slight taste of what these guys went through and the scale of this event. But we're going to talk more about that tomorrow because we're going to talk about D-Day tomorrow, and we'll talk about the movie as well. And tomorrow we'll even give you a recap on An Affair to Remember. But I do have my tissues ready for it because I do cry with this movie every time. Even though I know what happens, I know how it ends and everything else, it's one of those movies you just get hooked into the story. And you feel like you're part of the story, that you're watching, that you're somebody on the cruise ship watching this happen. They just pull you in. And so you get to feel all their emotions and everything else. And with what happens and the ending and everything else, I'm just a mess. That's all I'm going to say. I'm just a mess. So anyway, with that, we're out of here. So if you haven't seen Sorry, Wrong Number, please go see it. It is it's not an Alfred Hitchcock thriller, but it has all the parts of an Alfred Hitchcock thriller. It has these little twists and turns, and it has the thriller part in there, and it has these little twists and turns, and you think you're going this way, and then all of a sudden it swings you over this way, and then it puts you slightly back that way, and then more over here, and so you really don't know where you're going with this thing. It's just I really enjoyed Sorry, Wrong Number last night. I thoroughly enjoyed. I got the end of that, and I was like, that was awesome. But it really was a really good movie, and it kind of had the feeling of an Alfred Hitchcock movie as you're watching it, with all the, like I said, with all the twists and turns and things. And but it wasn't an Alfred Hitchcock movie. But very good movie. If you want to go watch a good movie, that was a good one to watch. So that one came out in 1948, and it was pretty good. So tonight we're off to watch An Affair to Remember, that came out in 1957. It's just under 2 hours. Last night's one was like just over an hour and a half. Tonight we're I think an hour and 50 something minutes. I think it might be like an hour, it might be 5 minutes short of 2 hours for tonight. So I'm looking forward to that. So we're going to go take a walk. It's going to be hot. We're slowly heating up. We're getting we've got excessive heat warnings starting tomorrow through Friday evening. So yeah, we'll clue you more on all that later on. But anyway, we're out of here. We're going to go and go for a walk in about half an hour when it's cool, a little cooler than what it is right now. So go out, have a super fantastic sparkling evening. Go see Sorry, Wrong Number if you haven't seen it yet. Go check that out. Or follow us tonight with An Affair to Remember, and go watch that with us as well, so you can chit-chat with us on the call tomorrow night. Okay, so we'll catch you guys back here tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Pacific. Hey, konara.